If you haven't been here in the last 6 weeks, you have a lot to catch up on. We're doing this book called Living Untethered. It's by Michael Singer. It's the third of his books and the third time we've done Michael Singer. This one, in my opinion, is quite helpful. This one is really like, okay, how do you want to go from where you are to where you've always wanted to be, which was blissfully happy, in love with the world, and easy to get along with. Isn't that where you wanted to go? Most of us still want to go there, and I think it's time for us all to have a midlife crisis. Because we think if we change the outer world, that our inner world will change. We really believe that if we can get the outer world organized just right, we won't feel this internal conflict, and we won't feel anger and disappointment and upset. So the first half of life, you're busy going out there trying to make it so, because it's just natural. It's what everybody says, you know, get a good job, get married, or somehow have a relationship, put money in the bank, you know, establish yourself, etc. And then you get there and you go, or you get close to it, or maybe you don't even get close to it, and you have just this sense that no matter what I do, I can't be happy. It just isn't working. And so that's when the midlife crisis happens, and you go, oh, I've got to do something else. The nature of reality is not very dependent on your likes and dislikes. And that's a little shocker, isn't it? You know, that the world's not set up to make me to do what I want. It's just to do what it's going to do, is what he's saying. And since it's going to do what it's going to do, and it's much bigger than you are, you should learn how to be happy no matter what's happening on the outside. And the way to do that is to be able to accept what's happening on the outside and not to make a knot in your emotional being by refusing to accept it or feeling overwhelmed by it. You know, everybody has trauma. So it isn't true that you can always handle things in the moment. Sometimes they overwhelm you. Sometimes they're just too big. The circumstances are more than your system is ready to handle at that moment. And what the body or the mind does at that moment is it pushes it aside, pushes it down, pushes it away, brackets it and says, I'm not going to have that experience. And when it does that, this experience doesn't just disappear, it forms a knot in your being, and that knot then blocks the flow of energy, which is what allows you to have the higher experiences of love and something beyond love, transcendence. And because we can't handle it, then it waits for a time when we can. And it comes back and it reminds us, hey, I'm here. All the while, whether we're recognizing it or not, it is blocking the energy that flows from below to above. And if we want to have those experiences of transcendence in which we actually feel bliss, the happiness of just being alive. And we see the world not needing to conform to us because the world is already beautiful as it is. That's the out-picturing in our experience of the flow of energy uninterrupted. But as long as we have these knots, we can't do that. This experience of letting the energy flow is what we're after. And that understanding can be the great booby prize. If you don't release, the understanding is just your door prize for trying. I could tell that this process of releasing is the process of freedom. That you move internally and externally when you don't hold the anger or the frustration or the trauma or the fear. And it doesn't have to be all that negative. It could just be anything that you're dealing with. It could be self-doubt. It could be loneliness. It could be just a slight sense of anxiety. It doesn't have to be a world shattering event. It could just be you're caught. That much. And when you release that, you learn how to release this. And when you learn how to do that, you're ready for that. And so it goes. And then you become freer and freer. And the freedom is also having to do with the energy flow within you, so that the energy flow within you, which is always trying to rise up, now can rise up. Because it's not blocked. What was Jesus thinking when he went to Jerusalem and tore up the temple and claimed to be God's son? What was he asking for? Hail fellow, well met? Nabob, isn't going to happen. Down came the authorities, and they crushed him like a peasant he was. They crucified him. If, perhaps, if there's any crossover from what I've been saying to what he did, could it be that he wanted to really, really, really experiment with what happens when you really let go? When all of the authority are putting all the pain on you they can come up with, and you let go. You don't become traumatized. You do open and let it flow. Could that be the experiment he was doing? So that when he turns to the man on the cross next to him, he says, "Today you will be with me in paradise." Maybe the flow of energy that came from that enormous transcendent release and acceptance was so great that it rocked the world.
I hope you got something out of today's service. We intend to bring you things that will help you in your life become more of who you want to be, give you the freedom of forgiveness and the hope of expectancy that your life will unfold in a way that brings you joy, happiness, and is a contribution to the world. If you would like to contribute to this ministry, please go to unitytriangle.org, hit the donate button, and it will lead you into an easy way of doing that. We thank you for your attention and look forward to seeing you again here.